Hey, today I'm going to show you how to do embroidery. I'm going to show you how to do a back stitch, which is the foundation stitch for all embroideries. I've got some of the tools that I like to use, and then I'll show you how to do the stitch when we get a bit close up. So I like to use a pencil to write my words or draw the picture that we have underneath. I find it's usually fine enough, and it will write on most fabrics and you can actually see it. And then as we stitch right over it, it gets lost in your stitchery, so I'm not too worried about that. I also have my thread. For this one I'm going to use a pearl-8 thread. I do like a chunky stitch, and we don't need to pull it apart or anything like that. Then as I'm using the pearl-8 thread, I'm going to use a chenille needle. These are a size 24. They have a nice big eye, and it's also gold tip, so you can see it nice and easily. Big eye, so you can actually thread that big thicker thread through. And then of course have our little scissors. When I measure out my thread to cut it, I usually do from my fingers across to my shoulder, and that's about how long I use it. Some people like less, some people like more, but personal choice, like most things. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of tips and tricks that I have for doing your embroidery. One of the trickiest thing that people always complain about is actually threading the needle. As we get a bit older, our eyes aren't as good as they used to be, so it can be hard to get it through that needle. So one of the things that we start with is having a short amount of thread in our hands. So you can see here I've got this long bit. It's really hard to get through. It's a bit like threading a wet sausage through something. If you just make that shorter, I'm just pulling it back with my hand, it's actually a lot stronger. It's a lot easier to stab it through your needle hole. So bring your needle up to your thread. Now I'm just going to chop that for clarity and watch me get it through. Okay. Perfect. First go, right? Okay. So I've got another trick to show you, which is how I do a knot. So with the wrong end of the thread, this is which will anchor, place it in between your fingers and then place your needle on top. Wrap it around, depending on how thick you need that hole to be, which is dependent on your fabric and the thread that you're using. You can wrap it once or twice. I'm going to wrap it twice for good luck. Give me a nice big knot. Pinch it in between my fingers, holding it, and pull the thread through. You can see there I have a nice easy knot. To do a back stitch, as the name would imply, we are going to go backwards each time. So bring your needle up around about 1/8 of an inch in from your starting point. Up and down. Now I've already cut my shape out, but if you haven't, you can either just use a hoop if that's what you prefer. And down. Back into that original hole. So you come up about 1/8 of an inch up ahead of where you're going, and then bring it back down. And you just continue on in this manner. Now I prefer to work from the top of my fabric, so I tend to go down into that hole, use half my needle, and then come back up again. I'll show you that again. Down and then up. Okay, so we've got to the end of a line here, and I'm just going to quickly show you how I finish off when I need to tie off, if I either run out of thread or I need to break to go onto another colour or something like that. All I do is I take a little bite out of the threads on the back and make a knot. I usually do this twice. I'm sure that will make some sort of Girl Scout knot. Pull it tight and cut it off. Once you have your embroidery all done, you've finished your words and you've tied it off, it's best to iron it from the back, that way you won't hurt your threads on the front. And that's how we do embroidery.